Nfudde obusete newola bwewole yeti ni namba byebiki.
Omusuubuzi zewandisa miwala asasulira emisolo.
Kati ebyo njifuna ntya bambikola ntya?
Ebintu babigonza. Oyina ndagamuntu?
Njirina.
Ogenda bugenzi ku website ya URA.
www.ura.go.ug aho nolondako e-services then nogenda ku tin registration. Aho nooteramu ne namba yo na mwaka gwe wazaalibwamu amanya go gajja kweleta automatically. Awo nojuzaamu n'ebirala bitono nnyo ebyetaagisibwa ng'ennamba y'essimu yo, email address yo ne gy'obeera. Era nga bino osobola obisanga emabega wa ndagamuntu yo. Then nosubmitinga nga kamesagi kajja direct ku ssimu yo mu ddakiika ntono nnyo.
Nga sina. Hey! Yes! Bannange bintu bikolera ddala bannange obugayaavu kibi. Omanyi obugayaavu bukuza mu bannange weebale Dangote. Bannange omponyeza. Omanyi ebintu byange bingi byowonyeza okubbibwa. Nzizeyo mu URA. Mbalage nti njirina.
Okubeera ne tini namba kikuyamba mu bintu bingi nnyo okugeza mu kusuubula n'okusuubuza eby'emuguzi mu Uganda ne wabweru wa Uganda, okuddizibwa ensimbi okuva ku misolo gy'ozosasula, okufuna looni mu banka ez'enjawulo, okufuna layisinsi okuva mu government agencies zonna, okuwandiisa emmotoka yo n'okugula oba okutunda ettaka.
Good morning, our dear viewers. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is Customs 101, where we bring experts from customs to explain the customs business. My name is Nicholas Aruho, and I'm your host today. And today we are talking about the consolidated cargo process. We would like you to understand the clearance process for consolidated cargo in customs. I know in the recent past there has been some talk about consolidated cargo, and we are here to explain. I have the experts in the studios to explain the procedure, the correct process and procedure for clearing consolidated cargo through the customs area. Without taking more time, I will introduce the experts in the studio today. I will begin with the one in my extreme left, Mr. Edwin Kakure is a supervisor in DPC and is here to explain the DPC process. I have Madam Fiona Nyamurungi Tuveine, who is the manager for warehousing, and she will take us through the warehousing process for clearing consolidated cargo. And like I said, my name is Nicholas Aruho. Feel free to send in all your questions. We shall answer all of them through any channel you send them. We shall receive them here in studio and give answers. Again, our topic today is understanding the clearance of consolidated cargo. I will begin with you, Madam Fiona. We would like our viewers to understand, before we go very far, to understand what consolidated cargo means. So kindly help us understand the meaning of consolidated cargo in the context of international trade. Over to you, Fiona.
Okay, thank you, Nicholas, the moderator. A very good morning, viewers and everybody listening to us this morning. I'm Fiona Nyamurungi, as already mentioned. Quickly, straight to the question, cargo consolidation, in simple terms, is a process where small consignments or shipments are bundled and put into one main consignment or one larger consignment. And usually in this process, we have multiple owners of this cargo. So basically we are saying we are a couple of people, let's bring all our small shipments together and be able to consolidate or put them together into this one larger shipment, which can go into this container for shipping to whatever destination it is. Usually it works for the same source. It could even be a same supplier, but it is always the same country of export, so that all those shipments come together and then they are able to be shipped into this one container for the purpose of simplifying the shipment and transportation process, but also being able to support there would be small players to be able to have their shipments come together and be able to be shipped to the final destination. Now, this is a legitimate process. It's acceptable in international trade. And the way it works is that once you are in that shipment which has been consolidated and put together or bundled together, then each of the importers therein or owners is meant to have a house bill that will be able to identify how many people are in this container. And then, of course, the master bill is the one that is used for shipping purposes to be able to have this container move, for example, from China to Mombasa. But within that, then we have the small bills that represent the different importers that are within that container. So in a nutshell, that's what consolidation is all about.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Fiona, for explaining the meaning of consolidated cargo. Sticking with you again, kindly take us through the clearance process of consolidated cargo, how you are clearing consolidated cargo in warehousing, such that our viewers know what they are expected to do and the process you follow to clear that kind of cargo.
Okay. Thank you again. Our viewers and everyone listening to us, in the customs, how we handle consolidated cargo, one, we begin with the shipping, which is the master bill I mentioned a few minutes ago, where each shipment comes with its master bill and arrives at the first port of entry into the East Africa. In this case, we can use Mombasa as our reference port. So when this container reaches Mombasa, it already has its master bill and, of course, the overall bill of lading that is given by the shipper. These goods are then declared to come to Uganda into a customs bonded warehouse. Now, these goods will arrive intact with their one bill and one entry. Now, once it reaches destination in Uganda within the bonded warehouse, then the container is received into the bond. The goods are actually checked, verified. There we expect that the declarant, who is commonly called the clearing agent, is available to facilitate customs to be able to look at these goods. And it's at that point that we actually start interacting with the different packages for the different importers. Because then we have opened the container and we can now see which goods belong to who. Now, within that examination, these goods will have been warehoused into that facility where they have arrived. So after we verify, then these entries are sent to the document processing center, which is another process altogether for clearance. Please take note, our viewers, that it's important when verification is to be done that the presence of the agent and whichever party would be interested are able to come on time, so that we are able to carry out this examination process in the shortest time possible, because then it's the trigger that will enable the importers, the individual importers, to start accessing their goods. So this entry will go into the document processing center. It will undergo all the document checks. I believe my colleague will be able to mention what documents are mandatory when these declarations are going through. Once that is done and the entry has been passed on its master bill and master entry, then this entry is released, and it's at that point that we can now start splitting or deconsolidating that shipment. Now, this is an action that is done by the consolidator, because these goods, as already mentioned, come on that master bill. It is in one name, and that consolidator now gets the open window to start declaring transfer to the different importers, whether they are 8 or 10 or 3 or 5. The consolidator then declares or submits to customs that I need to transfer these goods to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people. Their quantities are this and this and that. So once we receive those requests, then we approve the transfer. Once this transfer has been done, then each importer now has a record of their goods on their independent entry. And that now enables the importer to be able to appoint their own agent, get their goods declared, pay the accurate taxes, and be able to get an exit for those goods in their independent names and in their independent tax identification numbers. So that's how the process runs. So the critical bit there is that goods must change from the consolidator to the independent or individual importers that are within that container. Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Fiona, for that elaborate explanation. Viewers, in case you've just joined us, this is Customs 101, and today we are looking at the clearance process for consolidated cargo, and I have two experts in studio, Madam Fiona Tubeine from warehousing, who is the manager, and I also have Mr. Edwin Kakure, who is the supervisor in DPC, and my name is Nicholas Aruho, your host. We started by looking at what consolidated cargo is, and we looked at the clearance process in warehousing. Now I would like to turn to Mr. Kakure in DPC. Kindly take us through the clearance process of consolidated cargo at all levels, at different regimes that you handle in DPC.
Thank you very much, Nicholas. Good morning once again, our viewers and our listeners, wherever you are. Yes, the clearing process of consolidated cargo at all regimes. First of all, start with one of the mandates of the Document Processing Center. First of all, to determine the authenticity of the declaration in regards to the documents that have been attached there. And like any other declaration, even the consolidated cargo is subjected to the same. Like Madam Fiona has mentioned, at each point, like from Mombasa, you have a WTA that comes in, which when related to Document Processing Center, it is subjected to what we call a document check. And each stage we expect all the documents to be there, which I'm going to mention. Now that is from Mombasa. You said you must having a master bill, you must have all the invoices and the packing lists that is called that declaration. From there it arrives in Uganda. Still now there the regime changes now to AM7. Now this is the most critical one now. Of course here we still say that the consolidator is still what? The consignee. We have not yet splitted. And here we look at all the documents, and furthermore we relate the documents to the verification account and reconcile it to the documents. Now here is where DPC try to relate what has the consolidator declared. We expect also to see the various names of the people who are consolidating what? In the consignment. What items have they brought? In terms of quantity, description, weight, measurements, and everything. So if that one is reconciled very well in relation to the documents that we expect to attach, the invoices, that's a commercial pro forma, packing lists, and more so the worksheet. The worksheet is supposed to show, and also it's supposed to show the various importers within that consolidated cargo, what they expect to pay. Now, what is our role in DPC is to determine or to prove the authenticity of what they have declared. In the event that we have some issues with the declaration, we shall automatically do what we call a query. We shall query you, and if you are not satisfied with your values, and in regards to the documents you have declared, we normally propose to you alternative method of what? Of evaluation that you're going to use. They're not going to consider what? Your documents, of which we put in the query module, and the consolidator's role now is to share with the various members in the consolidated cargo, and they respond accordingly. Now, this is not normally done at IM7. It's normally done at what? At IM7. In the event that we have, let me assume that we have accepted everything, it goes to the last stage where you declare an extra housing entry, which you call the IM4. Remember, evaluation has already been done. You don't have to waste time at the what? At the IM4. because we have already agreed, we know what you have brought in terms of quantities and everything, and the values are there. So when you're declaring an extra housing entry, we expect to capture what we agreed on what? In the M7. In simple terms, at IM4, when you're extra housing, when you have reconciled everything, and we have agreed, you have even made a transfer from the consolidator to the final consignee, the IM4 should be very clear to go out easily. So, in simple terms, that is the main process. But one thing I also want to mention, not to leave out, normally when we share these values, I don't want to leave out this, is that compared to the bulkiness of the items that we have, normally they don't fit in the information page where the agent can access. We have, so far we have a database of these consolidated, and we do share on their private mails so that they look through and they share back to us. Simply, that is the process that we do in DPC on consolidated cargo. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Kakule, for taking us through the process in DPC. And I will first stay with you because I know there is someone who has tuned in and they would like to ensure seamless clearance of their cargo. They have their cargo under consolidation, it is coming, and they want to ensure that they clear very quickly. Or other stakeholders, the clearing agents and all the other stakeholders. So I would like you to talk to them and you tell them what you expect in DPC in order to ensure seamless clearance of this cargo, such that if I'm an importer, I know what I should do, a clearing agent, I know what I should do to ensure that these entries can move through DPC very quickly without any serious trouble.
Thank you, Nicholas. What should an importer do to have a seamless flow?
Yes.
What should an importer do? Like Madam Fiona said, the concept of consolidation is legitimate. We know very well that not all importers have the capacity to bring in a full container. Now, as an importer who has imported goods in a consolidated, using a consolidator, one fact is that you have insured your goods with the consolidator. At the point in DPC, and you want to see your goods through seamlessly. Number one, prepare your documents very well. Prepare your documents, the importation documents. We very much know that when you go to import, there are various documents that you're supposed to have that we expect to have when you are verifying, when you are document checking your declaration, which includes a commercial invoice. You must have a packing list, and for any certifications or regulatory whatever that you may need from UNBS, also those made a PIVOC, you must be having them. The other important document or that you need to prepare is what we call a worksheet. The worksheet tells us what is this item you have imported. Maybe where is it classified, and what would be the probable taxes that you are supposed to pay. A proper worksheet that you submit, or the agent will help you to do what? To do. So, and this should tally with the verification account that is done in warehousing. If it does not tally, that's when you have problems now. And if your documents don't read what came through with the verification account, that's when you have what? Problems. But it's very simple that if you have those documents and you have declared them to us, and they tell the story of your importation of this any specific good that importing, it will be very clear that you go through DPC clearly. We don't even need to know who you are. All we need are documents. Like the way office you hear is document processing what? Center. We only verify the documents against what? Your declaration. So if the documents are there, the work is very simple. Customs only needs to prove whether the documents are right, and if at all there's anything, we query and find out and it's upon you to do what? To clarify to us when you have such documents. Now that is on the ideal. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Kakure, for taking us through what our clients need to do to ensure a seamless clearance process. I will now come back to Madam Fiona. I know URA has been encouraging consolidators to make sure that they deconsolidate such that each individual importer is able to declare in their own tin at the point of paying taxes. So someone may be wondering, what do I stand to benefit as an importer? Or how does this process of deconsolidation and clearing in the current process, how does it benefit me if I'm an importer bringing cargo under consolidated consignments? Over to you, Fiona.
Thank you, Nicholas. Maybe to start with, consolidation enables any importer, small and medium traders, to be able to have their goods come in without worrying about collecting a lot of volume to fill a container load. So whatever is that is available, whether it's on order or it's what their cash flow can enable them to get, they are able to actually get those imports into Uganda using this process called consolidation. So indeed, that's why we began by saying it's encouraged and it's legitimate, because it supports that trading community that is carrying very small volumes, so that they are able to bring in their imports. That's advantage number one. Number two, we talked of a house bill. A house bill now gives title to the owner of the goods to be able to know that, okay, now I also own these goods and legally they are mine, and URA can identify me that these goods are actually mine. So a house bill is extremely important because it gives title whether you have jointly shipped goods. No, not whether. In cases where you have jointly shipped goods in a consolidated container. So I would encourage our clients and the trading community to always follow through when they ship in those small portions within one container. Let them follow through to be able to get a house bill for their shipment, so that they can have full title of the goods they will have imported. Number three, once you get the house bill, and we go through a process we started with where the consolidator applies to customs, a transfer is done using that house bill that gives title to the client, then the importer is able to clear those goods in their own names, in their own tin. To add on that, at their own pace and according to the cash flow. Because at that time or at that point, the goods are yours. So you now plan out, how do I clear these goods? When? How? What are my cash flows? So it's important that house bills are there, transfer is done, then the independent importer can plan out how they want to clear their goods out of customs. And then while they're doing that, after the transfers have been done and the importer knows, okay, now I have goods in my names, they have the independence of appointing their own agent. So meaning that puts them fully in charge of the clearance of their shipments. And it definitely will eliminate all the gray areas. There is no manipulation. You directly are interacting with your shipment and everything that is happening to it. We just need to mention this. Remember, in URA, the process we run is that when an assessment is made for you, you get that notification on your team. So if goods stay with someone else, you'll never know what's happening to your goods. So it's important that they get transferred using that house bill to this individual importer, so that they are tracking what is happening to their shipment. Even when an assessment is done, they'll be able to know that's the correct assessment to pay, so that there's no manipulation and illegality in between. So those are the main benefits that an importer who is bringing cargo in consolidation has, and would encourage them that every importer using this process looks out for a house bill to be able to clear and enjoy the benefits of having full title and full charge of the clearance of their shipments. And maybe to add on that, what needs to be noted is that any other process away from this, warehouse bills must be given and transfers done and individual importers clear out, is therefore an illegality. It's illegitimate and it's not right and it's prohibited. And that's why the public notice came out over that same matter. So that any process that is run is processing away from what we are discussing today that supports consolidated cargo clearance is now illegitimate. And so we encourage that all importers within this process will be able to follow through, even us with the support of customs, follow through so that house bills are given and we deconsolidate these shipments and they are able to be cleared in individual taxpayers' names and TINs. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Fiona, for that elaborate explanation about the benefits of clearing through consolidated cargo, and then you deconsolidate and clear in your own tin. And you have actually made it clear that any process that doesn't follow what you have explained is actually illegal. That consignments that come under consolidated cargo, when they reach here, they have to be deconsolidated, and each individual importer clears in their own tin. You made that clear in your explanation. And of course, sometimes some importers think that the consolidation and all that process of transferring ownership and all that leads to some delays. So that's why they think that following another process may be quicker. So kindly take us through how you are dealing with the delays that may come from that process of deconsolidation to ensure that all this cargo is transferred to the tins of different importers.
Okay. Thank you again, Nicholas, and thank you, our viewers and clients. Let's begin with examination. Timely examination of these containers is very, very important. Because when goods arrive at these bonded warehouses and we have done a system arrival, that process was simplified a couple of years ago, where these goods automatically auto-convert to now the bonded warehouse and enables the examination process to start. So these goods can actually be examined within hours of arrival at a bonded warehouse. And we need to encourage consolidators and anybody who is within that process that needs to be available for examination. Let us come for examination on time. We've given ourselves a maximum of 2 days to be able to have that whole examination process and reconciliation done so that we are able to have these containers move as fast as possible. So timely examination is critical. We need the clearing agent, we need the consolidator available, and in case there is any other interested party, whether it's one of the owners of the goods, we request that they come on time so that we can examine and reconcile. Reconciliation is extremely important because these owners are quite a number in one shipment. So it's important that we go through a thorough examination to be able to conclude and conclude well on time. And then in case there are offenses, because sometimes these containers are found with other goods that are not declared properly at the port of Mombasa. Now, when there is an offense process, yes, it's also a process that we would encourage the consolidator to now try to fast track the conclusion of that offense, because at that point we expect the consolidator to know what has created that offense, so that we are able to conclude it on time, and we are committed to make sure that is done. But timely examination, we encourage them to come as quickly as possible, immediately when the container arrives, and we are able to count. Then two, the way we can deal with delays is related to the documentation. Edwin had talked about documentation, that documents that are required. consolidators are encouraged and importers to acquire all the required and essential import documents. Because when they are not, then queries start happening, as Edwin was explaining to us. So we request that consolidators and importers get all the required documents well in time and valid and accurate and legitimate, so that we are able to go through the transfer. Transfer is very important. We already said it, and transfer also has documents that actually support a transfer to happen. So we would need the consolidators to make sure all those documents are available, the house bill, the invoices, the parking lists, and all documents related to the transfer that they are going to do. Now that will now quicken the process. There are certain cases where even affidavits are required unless there is contention in ownership. Then even if there are affidavits, we request that whoever is involved, whether consolidator or the individual importer, let those also be processed quickly so that we are able to transfer as fast as possible. Then lastly, we have a dedicated team. We have put a dedicated team that is looking at all consolidated cargo cases so that any issue that comes up can be able to be addressed immediately to enable the smooth conclusion of the transaction. Those are the main ways how we are dealing with the delays. And of course, we believe that as we move along and we get feedback, then we will keep improving so that consolidation is a fast process like any other process in customs. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Fiona. And I would like to pose the same question to Edwin, because I know in DPC sometimes there may be complaints. So I would like you to also inform our viewers what you are doing to make sure that the process of clearing these entries that are coming through under consolidated cargo is seamless and fast. How are you doing to manage the delays that come from this consolidation?
Thank you very much, Nicholas, and to our viewers and listeners, wherever you are. Yes, of course, our major objective is to facilitate trade and to ensure that the businessman or the importer does not lay within our system. Coupled with what Madam Fiona has just been saying, if at all that is not done, documentation, the transfers, the reconciliations are not done properly, it causes a spillover. It causes a spillover to another stage. But what has DPC done now? DPC, where we are now, we have created a dashboard where we, early in the morning or at shift end, we have a list of all consolidated cargo declared at all regimes. What we expect, starting from WT8, IM7, and IM4. And when it's at IM7, and rather WT8, we are sure that this one is what is going to come to us. We will give it attention and it comes out very fast to go to IM7. Now at IM7, we make sure we also give it priority. Looking at the list we have made and we look at as it is in a day's basis, what do we have or what do we expect to have? Remember, these are many clients that you're handling, that if you handle them properly at IM7, we have cleared so many where? At IM4. So we have a dashboard where we look at IM7s, IM4s, and what is the status. And like Madam Fiona said, we distribute specific officers who can give priority, especially at IM7, so that they are churned out very fast. They churned out what? Very fast. And also those ones which are already under query, we ensure that the accepted queries are also monitored and they are given what? Priority. Because we know when we clear so many consolidated paper, we have cleared so many IM4s at a go in the short run. So that dashboard has helped us to monitor what we have as consolidated cargo and how fast we can do what? We can churn it out and it moves out. Then still on appeals, we ensure that the appeals team at that week or at that day gives it priority, so that it moves out what? Very fast. The other issue that normally, like these are importers, some of them may not be in none of the customs processes. What DPC, we have also created is now a provision that where they can come and meet us physically, so that we understand what they have declared, and we resolve the matter there and then, so that they do what? They move out. So basically at the moment, that's what we are doing. Real-time monitoring, giving them priority at all stages, from W8, IM7 and IM4. And that's what we are doing to ensure that we avoid the delays. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Edwin. Thank you so much for those initiatives that DPC has put in place to ensure clearance of consolidated cargo very fast. Viewers, thank you so much for tuning in. We are receiving your questions. In case you have any question, feel free to go in the chat and send in your question, or whichever channel you are getting us from, whether it is X or YouTube, you send in your questions. We shall be able to get them here and answer them. Just like Gloria Akero has sent in her question, and she says, in the event that there are 10 people involved in the shipment, if one client is not compliant with documentation, can the ones who are compliant be released from the system, or they will have to wait until the issue with the other client is sorted? I think, Edwin, you can answer that, and then Fiona will also say something related to that, how they are handling it on the warehousing side. In case one client has an issue with their documents,
Yes.
how do we deal with that? Do we hold the entire entry, or we release and deal with the client?
Thank you very much. In case, in the scenario where one client has an issue, of course it goes in this matter that we are valuing at what? At M7. And people want to get their transfers. Number one, we have an appeals committee that handles. And I've just told you that we give priority to what? We monitor and we give priority to consolidated cargo, to avoid the delay of other what? Of the clients. But in such events where others are compliant, at least we leave and we hand at what? At IM4, where the agent will still make a formal appeal. A formal what? Appeal, and which is handled at IM4, so that we don't delay others, and we handle it when their goods are being transferred, and make another review of that specific client, and not delay the others.
Okay, thank you so much. I would like Fiona also to say something in that regard. In warehousing, if one client has an offense, or two clients out of the 10, how are we dealing with that? Yeah.
Thank you. Now at warehousing, which is now the management of the physical cargo, when an offense is identified, first of all, it's the consolidator who is able to now tell us whose goods are those that are a subject of an offense, whether it's description or quantity or any other offense that may pertain to those goods. It may even be a prohibited item. Probably we'll talk about that later. Sometimes it may be an item that is not allowed in the country. Now, when that happens, because we have now a dedicated team, we have set out to be able, in order not to delay everybody, then we allow the process. We segment that particular issue, but the whole entry is able to progress. Now, when we reach a point where we are now transferring, remember now we are individualizing it. So at that point, we are able to deal with the matter that is for that particular owner. So that is the process. That is the improvement that is coming into the process, so that we are able to progress, and then later when we now transfer and the other importers who are okay can now access their goods and pay at will, then we first conclude the matter with that particular owner where there are some issues to explain. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Edwin and Fiona, for the responses. And the viewers, thank you so much, those who are sending in your questions, and everyone who has tuned in. You are still listening to Customs 101 webinar, where we are looking at the process of clearing consolidated cargo. My name is Nicholas Arho. I'm your host, and I have Madame Fiona Tubeine from warehousing, who is the manager, and then Edwin Kakure from DPC. I see Joanna Simwe here is saying, well done team, thank you so much for tuning in. Mr. Peter Minor, kindly clarify, your question is not very clear. If you can kindly clarify it further such that we give you a proper response. I want to come back to Edwin a little regarding appeals. Sometimes there are concerns regarding valuation of these goods where someone is not comfortable with the values that were given, and sometimes the individual importer may get to know after the consolidation when the initial agent had already accepted the values at IM7. So kindly tell us the process. How can someone appeal, or how can they raise their concerns regarding valuation if they do not agree, or if they are not comfortable with the values appended on their items?
Thank you very much, Nicholas. I'll combine that one with the challenges that we are facing with consolidated cargo. And this comes into play where we don't receive proper documentation, where we have, remember the documents that we told you, me and Madame Fiona have mentioned, must have the invoice, the commercial invoices, packing list. Okay, the master bill must be there, and the house bill must be there, and these must tally with the description of your goods. So, and this that you avail to us will determine how we are going to value your goods, whether actually they satisfy the value that you have done what you have given us. So in a scenario where we have improper documentation, it becomes a challenge to us. It becomes what? A challenge to us. And when we query that your documents you have given us are insufficient in the way they don't tally, the dates are wrong, or the units of measures are not there, or they are not undersigned, whichever, they don't justify as whether we should consider what transaction value. And we propose to you alternative methods of what? Of valuation. But amidst all that, the client still has the right to do what? To appeal. And they have a right to do what? To appeal. Through their agents, they can go through the help tool. We have a touch point where the clients can do what? Can submit their appeals to manager DPC, which will automatically come to DPC, stating their reasons as to why they are not satisfied with the values that appended, and of which that one will be subjected to the appeals committee. And remember, the appeals committee, this is totally different. It does not include even the officer who handled the entry. No, it's totally separate team combined of 3 officers who review what you have submitted. In the event that actually they prove that actually what the DPC officer saw was right in relation to what the consolidator or the consignee has declared, chances are very high that we shall uphold what? The values. But still, after that, if the client is not satisfied, they have right to appeal what? Further. Now to valuation headquarters, where they go and they take their documentation and they review. What comes out from the valuation headquarters is deemed to be final, and we shall implement accordingly. Another scenario where the person can appeal, there can be walk-ins, but normally what we avoid, sometimes the appeal may be just the description of the product. You can also ask for samples from the warehousing, so that we look at what? The actual item, and you get the proper description. Sometimes it may be just a mistake written in the verification account, so that will just fine. So those are some of the ways that a person can do what? Can appeal, and it's allowable, and they have the right to do what? To appeal to DPC. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Edwin, for giving our clients hope that all is not lost if they have a chance. They always have a chance to appeal in case they feel that the values they have been given are not fair. I will come back to the questions. I have Mr. Joseph Ziwa here, and I will direct this to Madam Fiona. Joseph is saying that our goods have been held at URA and the shipping company says it doesn't have a master bill. Is this possible? Maybe if you can say something around that.
Okay, thank you. I am coming from the assumption that the client who has submitted that question is in a container which has other people.
Yes.
Yes, so if that is the case, we will be glad to get more details and see how we can support. Because if that container, whoever is the consignee on that container, and it is carrying a couple of people, then they should have the master bill. They should have a document that elaborates the different people in that container. And that's why we are going to share later how we can get all this information quickly given to us so that we can see how to follow through and support, so that the different clients in these containers can quickly have access to their goods. Because a master bill should be there, or a document that clearly elaborates how many people are in that container, so that we can be able to do the transfer process we talked about, and these importers or different owners can be able to pay on their own. So I will encourage the client who sent that question, when we share the ways of how they can get help, let them take note, and let's quickly have their issue come through, and then we'll be able to address it accordingly.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Joseph. Kindly take note. You can share more details regarding this consignment, and the manager warehousing will take it up and assist you. This one I will send it to Edwin. It comes from Mr. Gerard Mawanda, who is asking why DPC uplifts values even where someone has put a proof of payment. So he says that even when you put a proof of payment, DPC goes ahead and uplifts the values. I don't know whether that is true, Mr. Kapure.
Thank you, Nicholas, and thank you, Gerard, for that. That is a very important question, by the way. Why would DPC uplift a value, even when you have availed a proof of what? Payment. Now, I told you DPC's mandate is to, like the way you hear a statement, document what?
Check.
Document check. We are trying to prove the authenticity of your documents you have availed to what? Customs. Now, yes, you can even attach a packing list. You can even attach a master bill. You can even attach the house bill. You can even attach a proof of payment. But our dear listeners and viewers, for customs to accept transaction value, the documents must tell the story. They must make a straight line in all aspects to determine the truth and accuracy of the value you have declared. Should we find any discrepancy, customs has the mandate to not to agree with the value you have declared. Yes, you have attached a proof of payment, but that does not even quote the invoice at which you paid that. So that one you cannot what? It is not even approved by the bank. You get it? Or even the documents you have given us, yes, the commercial don't even mention the account number of which you submitted the money to. So such scenarios may do what? May cause us to apply alternative values which may differ from the value you did what? You declared. So, but in the event that your documents are very okay and they're authentic, they tell the story of your transaction, and they have the truth and accuracy of the value you have given, there's no reason why customs would divert from the value you have declared. So such scenarios happen when customs is not satisfied with the documents that you have availed to prove the value you have declared. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Edwin, for making that clear. Therefore, the client, I'm sure, should have taken note. We are still moving on. Send in your questions. We are going to answer all of them. I want now to come back to Madam Fiona regarding these consignments of consolidators. Where does one go for help in case I have my container in the bond, it has delayed, or the consolidation has delayed? I'm one of the clients out of the 20, or I'm a consolidator, I need more guidance. How do they get help? Over to you, Madam Fiona.
Okay. 3 weeks ago, URA sent out a public notice in regard to this matter of consolidated cargo. And on that very notice, we highlighted one of the managers who is heading this dedicated team that will handle this process. He's called Henry, and the number is 0772 141106. So for those who can, let them feel free to raise him, and then they'll be able to present their issue, and then it can be addressed through the different channels and resolved. That's number one. Number two, within the warehouses where this cargo is, we do have supervisors and team leaders that are actually accessible and ready to assist within these warehouses. Now, that is for clients who are able to walk in and into these locations where their cargo is. Then they can be able to meet the supervisors and the warehouse team leaders, the customs team leaders, who are accessible and available and ready to help within those different warehouses. And that therefore means physical meetings for the clients that are able to come and meet or present their issue physically. Then we have an online platform called the URA Touchpoint, where all issues can be raised. We would also encourage that clients and all people involved in this process can be able to drop in their issue. It can be a question, it can be a complaint, it can be an observation. So the touch point comes in handy, because then it's accessed by anybody wherever they are and at any time of the day or night. So we'd be glad also to receive such cases within the touch point, so that we look at them, address them, because touch point also enables us to see the number, the telephone number of the person who has submitted their request or complaint. So if we want any more information, or we want to get back to them on something particular, then we can still call back using the contact they've put. So touch point is good. We encourage them that they also use that over and above the phone calls and the physical meetings. That will be helpful. But at warehousing and at the DPC and at customs and at the whole of URA, we are all open and ready and willing to assist, so that we are able to have importers have a seamless flow as they handle their cargo through the consolidation process.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Fiona, for providing that information for whoever needs further assistance. We are coming towards the end of this webinar. I'm now going to ask my experts to give us their parting shot. But as they give us their parting shot, I will drop in the other questions that may be still pending. I will begin with you, Edwin. Tell us what you would like our viewers to know, your parting shot.
Thank you very much. Once again, to our viewers and listeners, wherever you are, I want to assure you that customs is here to help you and facilitate trade, but more so legitimate trade. For the issue of Consolidated, I want to mention some of the issues that may cause us delays that we should need to avoid. The issue of documentation is very important at whatever stage, that you should have your documents to always have to ensure that you have a seamless flow of the clearance process of your consignment. Ensure that your consolidator transfers your goods properly with proper descriptions, weights, and also assures to give you your house bill. Then to the consolidators, please, we would kindly request a quicker response to the queries or create a seamless flow of communication. Name the fact that the customs first interfaces with the consolidators. If at all there's any inquiry, we would kindly request that there should be a proper what? A proper or a faster way of communicating to customs that to avoid any delays and making our importers to lose money in terms of delays. Lastly, we do want to emphasize that valuation of goods is done at IM7. We want to emphasize this, that valuation is done at IM7, and we don't expect any changes to be made or any delays to be made at IM4. So this should be emphasized that if anything to be corrected, let it be corrected at what? At the IM7 level, even when goods are still in charge with what? The warehousing. So any complaints would be encouraged that, or any inquiries or clarifications should be done at what? At IM7, so that to avoid any delays at time when you're ex-warehousing. It should have a seamless flow that you just need to take out what? Your goods that have been transferred to you. Otherwise, we are ready to serve you and facilitate you, and I want to thank you for listening to us and for this opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Edwin. Thank you so much once more. I will now turn to Madam Fiona. Give us your last message to our viewers. Anything else you would like to tell them about our topic today?
Okay, thank you again, Nicholas. To our dear clients, viewers, and the trading community, let me begin by re-emphasizing this. Any consolidator, any company or any individual that happens to ship goods where within the container there are multiple owners, this is the process to take. A consolidator, an individual, a company. If a container arrives and it has multiple importers or owners therein, then we've got to go through a deconsolidation process. Warehouse bills should be issued, transfer of ownership done, and goods cleared out in individual names and TIN numbers. I thought I would re-emphasize that. Any process away from that is not acceptable, and that's what the public notice was laboring to explain to the public. So I will encourage anybody in that process, whether consolidator, company, or an individual, as long as goods in the container belong to a couple of people, let's deconsolidate and transfer them to the individual importers. And then too, something we take home, which we can't forget about, as long as you are in you are bringing cargo in consolidated form, is the house bill, because that's your title of ownership to the goods in that particular container. And then the third issue is transfer of ownership, which is now the affirmation that you actually now own these goods, so you can be able to clear them out independently. And then the fourth one is that you're now able to have control over your clearance, you're able to pay your taxes. What I can add and conclude with is that each importer, we want to encourage importers, please do not hand over your payment obligation to someone else. because you should pay your taxes and do it exclusively via the different payment platforms that URA has in place using the PRNs that you are able to access. The assessments are given to you. We already said if cargo is in your tax number, you will actually get the assessment in your own email, so you will know what you're going to pay. Please, let's pay. I encourage our tax trading community. Please pay your own taxes. Do not hand it over to the cargo consolidator or to an agent or to a broker when you can do it yourself. So we want to encourage the trading community, our dear clients and importers out there. Please get interested in how your taxes are paid, and please be able to pay those taxes as and when you can and as and when your entries go through. And of course, we must also re-emphasize that URA does not receive any cash payments. So use the PRNs that are available and assessments that have been posted to your emails to be able to pay the government dues and pay them on time. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, our viewers who have been tuned in since we started. We are coming to the end of this webinar. This has been Customs 101. Our topic today has been understanding the clearance of consolidated cargo. I have been your host, Nicholas Aruho, and in the studio I had two experts, Mr. Edwin Kakure, who is the supervisor in DPC, which is the Document Processing Center, and Madam Fiona Tubeine Nyamurungi, who is the manager for warehousing. Thank you so much for tuning in. In case we haven't answered your question, we shall give you responses online. But thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much, and we shall see you next time.